Happy Father's Day to each one of you who are a father, and for each one of you who had a father in your life. How many of you had a father? Hold up your hands, please. Yeah, yeah. That's I say that in kind of a joking, farcical way, but at the same time, there are some people in this world who did not have a father in their life. They don't know who their father was. He just never was present, and they never had that experience. For each one of us, I think we're fortunate that we had a father figure in our lives. I think it's important to have a father figure in your life if you can swing it, if it happens for you that way. So that's what we're talking about today, as the verse in John. The Gospel of John is a very different kind of gospel than the others. The other three are what we call synoptic gospels, meaning that they see things the same way, and syn means in the same way, and optic means, of course, see. So they see things in much the same way, and they're talking about the birth, life, and crucifixion of Jesus, the Christed one. But the Gospel of John, which is written 150 years or so after, well, not 150 years, but maybe around the 150 current era, it happened much later, as you can tell by that number, than the actual life of Jesus. And so we look at that in a different way, and it's written in a different way. It's written very, very spiritually. It even starts off in the beginning. And then goes on, but rather than saying in the beginning the world, it talks about not a physical realm, but it talks about a more of a heavenly realm or a spiritual realm. And it starts off, in the beginning was the Word. And word there, the word used is logos. And of course we see logos all over our world now. We see them now and recognize them. You can trust your car to the man who wears the star. And they go pretty far back, in our life. These logos, Texaco and Conoco, and back when it was called Standard Oil with the big torch in the middle, and then it became Esso, and then Exxon, and it's changed over the years, but still we recognize all these logos, and these logos are basically a way to remember or a way to identify. And so what it's saying is, in the beginning was the way to identify, or the identification symbol. Now, having said that, further on in the Gospel of John, he is describing the apostle, the disciples, the ones who followed the master teacher, just as we follow the shower of the way, the master teacher, in that sense. So they're following with him, and they're hanging out with him, and they're helping him, and they're making sure he is protected, and making sure he is that all his needs, physical needs, are met. And they're hanging out together, and one of them's name is Philip. And Philip asks the question at some point, when they've been having all these teachings and lessons and so forth, and he hears Jesus talk about the Father. Finally, he just speaks out boldly and says, "Show us the Father, and we will be satisfied." Thinking still in the realm of the human. And he wants to see a physical form, or he wants to have a designation described to him, a description of the Father that Jesus is talking about all the time. He hasn't accepted this idea yet, and here's where it comes into contact, not only for those disciples in that time, but for us as well in our time. So I want to turn here to this phrase from John, and it's in the 12th chapter, and he says to him that this is 6 days before the Passover in Bethany that occurred. Or Jesus came to the home of Lazarus, and Lazarus was the brother of his good friend Mary. He had two friends who helped take care of him, and he liked to hang out at their house. It must have been a very nice villa. And he comes to him, and they make bread, and they provide meals and so forth. And Mary has a sister named Martha and so forth. So they're at that place. And Jesus says this. Get it out of my other book. And Philip said to him, and this is the 8th verse of the 14th chapter, the way it's divided up. And he says, let me go back just a little bit before that. One of his disciples asked Thomas, you remember old doubting Thomas, Thomas Didymus, which means the twin. So he comes to him and he says to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? And Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me, or except through the way that I am describing to you, this way. Now that's my translation of except through me. There are others which are much more finite in their way of describing no one comes to the Father except through me. And then then they got this whole thing. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means you have to believe in Jesus and express this belief and so forth. And that's okay. You can do it that way if you wish, as long as you still ascribe or proscribe to the way. And he says, if you know me, you will know my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. And then Philip says, show us the Father, and we will be satisfied. And Jesus says to him, I love this, this is so personal, you can see them, you can just see them in your mind's eye, all gathered together, in one room, or just right outside on the porch, or underneath a tree outside at this place, wherever they might be, and they're talking, and well, show us the Father, and then we'll be satisfied, and everything will be good. Show you the Father? And Jesus says to him, have I been with you all this time, Philip, and you still do not know me? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. Now this is taken on its surface level by so many people. And they say, oh, well, then Jesus is describing himself as God. And they miss the whole point of it. They miss the point. The point is you have to take the skin off of that phrase and look deeper within it. Look within it and see what Jesus is really describing. How can you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? He's trying to describe to them what we hear so many of the especially Hindu teachers of today. We hear so many of them describe things, and it's coming out of their physical mouth, but the words that are coming out are just like what Jesus is trying to describe to his disciples. He's trying to say, when you hear me or see me or you hear my teachings, don't you understand that this is not me speaking these things? This is something deeper within me. And he goes on to say, the words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own. And that's what I'm trying to describe here as well. I do not speak on my own. I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. In other words, what you see is what you get right there in front of you. It's right there in front of you. It's more than just right in front of you, but I'll get to that in a moment. I am in the Father and the Father is me. But if you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. What you see is what you get. And if you can't see it coming from me and you can't understand this belief system that I am creating and holding for you, that I have come to believe deeply within myself, that so much so that there is no difference between the outside and the inside. It's all the same to me. All one sameness to me. He's trying to describe that to them. There's a reason for that. He says, verily, truly, I tell you, the one who believes in me will also do the works that I have done, and in fact will do greater works than these. Why? Because I am going to the Father. In other words, this physical being that you see in me, of me, is not going to be around long. Not going to be around very much longer. Something that sort of that we were describing earlier. Getting old is getting old, and it's taken up all my time. And when the time is gone, then I physically will not be here. But that which I have described that I truly am within my very being, at the heart of my soul, will be who I am, and will be who is left behind through the words that you hear, and you will be able to carry these words forth and do even greater things than I am doing, because I will be out of the way and you will come forth and manifest as you truly are. And that's the lesson and the message that is given to each one of us. Each one of us. Who you truly are is the Father within you. Let's describe what Father means now in more of a archetypical Jungian way. Carl Jung talked about these archetypes, and he had 12 of them, and I looked them up, and none of them are called the father or the mother. They are called things like the magician and the ruler and so forth. They go on, and you can look that up for yourselves. The 12 Jungian archetypes. But within those, there are, on a deeper level, there are 4 other types, and of those 4, there's the persona and the ego and id and so forth that are described. I think I'm getting my people mixed up there when I go into ego and id, but that's all the same, just described in different ways. What all of those teachers, Freud and Jung and all of those teachers were trying to teach us is that there are levels of consciousness within us, much not different than all the many gates that are described in Hinduism and in other religions, the gates guarded by the dogs and so forth, that as we try to go deeper and deeper into meditation, we go deeper and deeper within, and we find these places that are described in European terms as archetypes. We go deeper, past one gate, deeper, past another gate, and deeper, and we try our best not to fall asleep, which is what the guardians, the dogs at the gates, do. They try to get us to either become fearful and leave, or become bored and sleepy. And that's what happens within us. The ones that I found that are more like the Father within are the ones called the animus and the anima. Those two. One is a type within us that is masculine, And the other, the type, of course, is feminine. And here's what I like. This is very, very unity in its way. The animus is the physical type within us described for the masculine, but it says the masculine in us that is carried through by the feminine. And anima, ending in a more of a feminine, animus would be in Latin would be the masculine ending, and ama being the ending of the feminine, and it describes that as the feminine quality within the masculine. Isn't that what we describe in unity? We talk about those two qualities existing within, and we call them something different, but that's basically what it is. We call them the intellectual and the feeling nature within us, and we make sure to make people realize that intellectual, which is described as the masculine energy, and the feeling nature within us described as the feminine nature. We are not saying that only women in the outer are feelers or express things that way, and only men in the outer are intellectual or the thinkers. No, we're not describing that at all. We're saying within us is a masculine, feminine nature. That is the nature of who we are, and we hold within us this animus and this anima, as Jung would call it. Hope I'm making sense here and not leaving anything out. Now, Jesus describes, because of the time that he lived in, I think, that's my personal reason that I think, because of the time that he lived in, he describes this feeling within him in this deep and way to at the very point of his existence, at the very point of his existence. He describes it as a fatherly nature. Who is the Father? Give us the Father. Show us the Father. They describe that as this highly important nature within in his time. We in our time would say more, show us the father/mother within us. Show us the animus anima within us. Show us this. Well, regardless of how you look at it, it's all the same. It's all the same. It makes no difference whether he was looking only at the Father. That was his time, his way, and the people in his world of expressing that way. Now, many of you know and have heard that I don't like this idea of father/mother God. It's almost like two-faced or two-headed, or, two beings. I say fathering, mothering. I put it more of an idea of action, the fathering, mothering quality of that source of being that each one of us hold within us. So let us take this day that we call Father's Day and explore it within ourselves. What is going on? I'm asking this question to each one of you. What is going on at the very center of your being? What's going on? Is anything going on? Can you get to that place? Can you strip the layers of consciousness away from the outer being of who you think you are and get down to the point within the very heart of you, the heart, the center of you, to that point of Big Bang for you personally, and get to that point where all is occurring at the same time. There is no past, there is no future, There is actually not even any present, because that can be for you an illusion. Get past all that to the very act of life itself, the center of your being. And as I've said before, if you get to the place where God is, where the Father is, nothing is going on. There's not choirs of angels all getting together and singing and on harps and have wings and all that. There's none of that going on. There is nothing going on. There is no praising going on. There is nothing, because there is no other. There's simply an is. There is no secondary way of looking at things, because in the absolute, there is no secondary. There's nothing to contend with. There is nothing going on except pure, unadulterated peace. Only peace. Only peace for each and every person on this planet and beyond. Wherever life is, this is all there is. Just this isness. It's not even, we can't even say God the good, because there is nothing opposite of this. There is no not good. There is simply God the is. And that's what Jesus called the Father within. And that's why he could say to them, when you see me, have you been with me all this time and you're asking me to show you the Father? Have you not seen the works of the Father? Haven't you seen this? You think I'm doing these things? Come on. Give me and give yourself a break. There's nothing going on in me. It is happening through me. And that's the way we need to be looking at life. It's happening through me. It's not happening to me. It's not happening because of me. It's happening through me. And if it's happening through me and I am the hollow reed, the vessel through which this is happening, then there must be something greater and more wonderful beyond. Something that takes place because I am. That's kind of nice to know, isn't it? Now, we must do what Jesus was teaching his disciples, because we are still his disciples, regardless of what we believe in or who we hold as a greater teacher. This avatar, this man Jesus, who was an avatar, I believe, goes forth and he tells us, do the works, greater works, do them. There is nothing greater, I think, going on right now, because I know I'm the outer of me, the layers above all this in the outer of me is quite disturbed by what's going on in our world. How do I help change that? What do I do that helps me be a father figure for this world? How do I protect? How do I encourage? How do I guide? How do I teach? How do I be? What are the actions that I'm expressing? Well, fear isn't one of them. That's not one of them that's really adding any help to the world. Worry is not helping add any of it to the world. I must be bold. I must be the hero. I must be the protector. I must be. And when I speak of me, I want you to be thinking and expressing this of yourselves, each one of you. And you may look and say, well, there's 7 of us here. That's enough. That's enough to make a change in this world if we allow this powerful essence to speak through us, to allow ourselves to be who we truly are. When you've seen me, have you not seen the Father? Be who you truly are. Say to yourselves, happy Father's within me day. Happy the Father within me day. Be who you truly are. Express joy. Express forgiveness. Express contentment, not contention. Express all this within you so that when others see you, they see within you the Father doing the works. Be who you truly are. God bless all of you. And God bless me too.